Guys, and welcome to Escapement Watch Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're looking at the Escapement Time Classic Dress Watch. So I purchased this watch from the official Escapement Time store on AliExpress. I used my affiliate earnings from this channel to purchase this watch. It's not something I would buy on my own, but I figured I would give it a shot. It is cheap enough. Retail price for this watch is 65 US, and these things never go on sale, or at least I've never seen them go on sale. So if you are interested in this watch, I think it's cheap enough. I think you should just buy it. There's no point in waiting for a sale, really. But yeah, I think the price of this thing and the style of this thing make it a really compelling dress watch. The watch only comes in this colorway, and that's it. They don't sell any other ones currently, but I do think the silver looks really, really good. The case material on this is just stainless steel. I don't know the grade of it, but I'm guessing it's 304 or 316. It has a sapphire crystal, a push-pull crown, a snap-on case back, 50 meters of claimed water resistance. It comes on a decent leather strap, but you're going to want to get rid of it anyway. And then it is powered by the Citizen Miyota 2025 quartz movement. So I've had the watch on wrist for about 4 weeks now, I think. And yeah, obviously I haven't been wearing it every single day, but I think I've got a good grasp on what are the positives, what are the negatives, and whether it's worth it or not to buy it. So I say we get right into the review, but before we do a quick wrist check today, wearing the Seastern 600. Go check out the review for that. That'll be up top right there. Really happy with this one, though. I like it on this brown strap. Alright, so let's start with the dimensions. We got a case diameter bang on 38 millimeters, thickness of 8.1 millimeters, 20 millimeter lug width, lug tip to lug tip of 45.2 millimeters, and on the supplied leather strap, weighs about 41 grams. So it is ultra lightweight, it is ultra thin, just 8 millimeters thick. Really happy with the proportions on this, 38 millimeters, 20 millimeter lug width. I think it looks good. I think it wears good. Yeah, I'm going to go outside right now and throw it on my wrist for you. And here we are on my 7.5 inch wrist, and as you can see, it wears great. Get some pretty decent turn down to those lugs, like I said. Really nice and thin, lightweight, very comfortable. I've got no real issues with the way this thing wears. Lots of light play off the sides of the case there. Do have a pretty reflective crystal, as you can see right about there, but I still think it looks okay. Popping out in some direct sunlight here. There you can see lots of play off of that dial. Looks really good. The blued hands, they do pop a little bit, but they're still a little bit blocked by the crystal. But I do think it looks pretty good. Zoom in just a little bit for you there. Yeah, I do like it. It looks pretty good. I'm going to go throw this on some straps, and we'll get back to the review. And here we are on a black, kind of a textured leather strap. This one's lifted off of my Sanda tank homage. Yeah, shout out to Sanda for using a decent strap. But yeah, that actually looks pretty good. I wasn't sure I was going to like that, but that actually makes it look really, really good. Very happy with that strap. What do you guys think? And here we are on a Melnazy mesh, and I think it looks pretty good. Again, I think that actually looks pretty decent. It's pretty shiny, but yeah, it does look really good. And I think this is the last one. This is a tan strap. I'm not going to throw it on any single pass or anything like that, because I don't really think you're going to wear it. I think it's going to be on leather. It's going to live on leather. And here's a couple of good looks for you, different colors. I think they all look pretty good, though. What do you guys think? This one will be linked down below. This is a vintage leather, if you guys are interested. All right, let's go back inside. Let's get back to this review. All right, so let's talk about the case finishing. And the case finishing on this is super simple. It is a fully polished case, as you can see. You've got really interesting details here on the case sides, kind of a vertical, like a coin edge. You do have drilled lugs, which is really nice to see, kind of unnecessary on a watch like this, but no quick release, so they are appreciated. Coin edge does continue through the lug opening there as well. Pretty happy with that. The bezel on it is fully polished. I mean, just everything on this watch is fully polished. You have a push-pull crown here with the Escapement Time E on it. I think it all looks pretty good. The crown is a little bit small, but I think perfectly proportional for this case here. But the polishing is done, as you can see right on the top of this lug here. Pretty nicely done. It's nice and smooth. There's not too much in the way of like flat surfaces to really get a good eye on this polishing, but I think it is overall a pretty nicely polished case. Flipping it over to the case back here, you have a circular brushing. It is just a snap-on case back here, so you got to get a tool. They put it right on this lug here, so I'm not even sure if I'd be able to get this thing open. Yeah, it's not my favorite case back either. It sounds very tinny. Just tapping on it with my nail. It sounds like a very thin case back, very, very thin. The watch in general feels a little cheap because it's so lightweight. I mean, that's kind of expected. It's a lightweight watch, so the metal is thin, the lugs are pretty thin, so when you are messing around with the lugs, that also feels a little cheap. But I think it's all nicely done. Circular brushing on the case back, China here, escapement time here. You've got some Chinese characters. I'm not exactly sure which way to read these or what that actually says. So if somebody knows, please drop that down in the comments. I do like this little wave pattern that they put on there. Just a nice little touch. Unnecessary, but pretty nicely done. And yeah, I think overall the case finishing on this, like from most escapement times, is pretty nicely done. All right, let's quickly talk about the crystal on this thing. Test it for sapphire. It is positive for sapphire, so that's nice to see. And it's a dead flat sapphire crystal. It is very boring, a little bit of a chamfer. It does sit, I mean ever so slightly above the bezel. But yeah, dead flat sapphire, no anti-reflective coating. Don't really think it needs it either. It kind of gets washed out on this on my studio lights, but yeah, otherwise I think, day-to-day use, it's perfectly fine without it. I've got no major issues with the crystal on this thing, but it's the simplest of simple crystals. And so let's talk about the dial on this thing. So the dial is kind of the star of the show on this watch. Really interesting, lots and lots going on here. You've got a minute track printed around the outside. You've got a couple other little rings in there with some texture, but pretty subtle. So the minute track here is printed on its own separate ring. It is circular brushed. At the 5-minute markings, you have little stainless steel balls applied on there. And then you've got a black printed minute track around the outside. I think it's nicely done. Then you've got a little separate ring, and then you've got your hour markings and Arabic numerals on another separate ring. So again, circular brushed, really nicely done, clean printing. I see no issues with it at all. And your main part of the dial is a nice guilloche pattern, nice and crisp. I mean, no, it's just stamped in there, but it is nicely done. I mean, getting up real close here, you can see it's not as crisp as obviously what it's going after, but from a distance, it does look pretty good. Lots and lots of texture on the dial. You've got your escapement time logo here at the 12 o'clock printed on its own little silver plaque. And then you've got this number H0115G. I believe that is the model number. I'm not really sure, but I do think it looks pretty good, nicely done. The execution of the dial is very nicely done, I think. For being just a simple stamped dial and on such a cheap watch, I think it does look really, really good. The handset on this is really interesting, nice and long and thin. They are heat treated blue apparently, and I think they look really good. I mean, just getting up real close to them, they look excellent. Hopefully my macro at the beginning of this really showed them off, but very happy with the handset on this thing. Nice and thin, elegant, but nice and crisp as well. The blue, it's very subtle, but when it does catch the light, like right here, you can see they kind of pop out, and I think it looks really good. All right, so let's talk about the movement in this thing. And the movement, it just kind of disappears. It's got no moving aspects really to it, so you don't have a running seconds hand or anything. It is the Citizen Miyota 2025. I'm going to try and dig up some information and put it here on the right side of the screen. But it's a simple movement to use. I've had no issues with it. It seems accurate in the, 3-4 weeks that I've had it. So yeah, no issues with the movement here. Simple push-pull crown. It's got one position, and that is your time setting position. I don't know if it hacks, but yeah, not a big deal. So you pull it out, you set it to where you need to set it to. It's nice and solid and smooth. I've got no issues with that. The hands, they don't jump when you push it in. So yeah, can't complain too much about the movement. It's simple. It just kind of vanishes, like I said. You don't even notice it. Once you set it, you're going to have to mess with it once or twice a year, and that's it. And so let's talk about the strap on this. So the strap It's actually pretty decent. It's not my favorite strap from Escapement Time, but it's definitely not the worst one I've had either. It is pretty comfortable right out of the box. I will say that. I don't like the color at all. I think the color is terrible, but nicely done. Color match stitching. It tapers from 20 down to 18 at the buckle. It's a good size. I'm kind of right in the middle here for my 7.5-inch wrist. You've got one floating keeper, one stationary keeper. The buckle on it is fully polished, unsigned, which is kind of what I expect. But nicely done, and overall it is a fairly decent strap. You're not going to want to throw it in the trash. It's not that bad, but you're probably going to want to throw it on some other strap. I did really like that black strap from the Sanda Tank. Yeah, that one I think looks the best on this one. So there you go, guys. If you are looking for a smaller, kind of classic looking dress watch with a really interesting dial, this is one to consider for sure. The blued hands look excellent. The dial is very interesting. The case is super thin, really nice, good proportions, decent strap. You're going to want to change it either way. Sapphire crystal, reliable movement. My only real complaint about it is how cheap it sounds, which is kind of weird to say. Just messing around with the case back and messing around with the strap in general, it just kind of sounds a little cheap. Like if I grab onto these spring bars and twist them a little bit, it just doesn't sound great. Other than that, this is a very nice dress watch. And I think you're going to like it, especially for the price, $65 or something like that. It's a very nice price for this watch. You get a really interesting dial and hands, and I think it looks good. So if you guys are interested in this watch, please click that link down below. That's an affiliate link. Thank you guys so much for using the affiliate links. I purchased this watch because of those affiliate links. This is not a watch that I would typically buy on my own. So I just wanted to check it out because I haven't really seen it too much on YouTube, and yeah, I just didn't really understand why. Yeah, again, definitely not my style of watch, but I can't help but really like the way that it wears and the way that it looks. So yeah, if you guys are interested in that, click that link down below. I really do appreciate it. I think that's about it. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.